G'day folks, we're up to doing the Broodmother on Ark Survival Ascended, and we're going to do a video on how you summon the boss, where you get the artifacts, what sort of creatures you might want to use for actually getting the artifacts, as well as the creatures that you want to use to actually take on the Broodmother. If you're interested in searching out a specific thing, a specific artifact, or the boss fights itself, make sure you check the chapters down below. So, first up, let's talk about preparation for the caves. Because the creatures inside the Broodmother caves are the same level as on the outside world, especially if you're on a standard level difficulty, where the creatures are max level 30, 36, you can pretty much get away with coming in with a decent set of equipment. So you bring along something like a shotgun, some crossbow with some grappling hooks, as well as a pike, and don't forget your med brew so that you can heal through some of the damage, as well as to heal through the mega rabies that the Onyx can actually give to you. The only problem that you actually run into is the Arthroplura. They have an acid attack which can actually break primitive gear. So something like flak armor, if you were to bring it in and it breaks on you, you'd need to have either a spare set of flak armor to jump into, or it's more recommended to bring hide armor, as you can actually repair that on the fly without actually having a smithy. Now, if you're like me and you have high level creatures, in my case I've got max level 180 at the moment, you might want to bring a dinosaur in to help soak up the damage. Now, my personal preference is the Baryonyx. It's a little bit skinnier, so it fits through all of the entrances, it can swim and it can jump. And there's not so much swimming required in the Broodmother caves, but at least with the lava cave there's a few spots where you need to jump over, and having a dinosaur do that is actually quite comfortable. Otherwise you'll want to use grappling hooks to be able to get over those points. The other creatures that you might want to bring in are things like direwolves, saber-tooths, and there's even the Gigantopithecus is actually an interesting choice that you can actually bring. I used that once with a herbivore only challenge. You can jump and as well as throw the player, which is actually quite fun. Not so much useful in the caves themselves. The first cave we're going to look at is the central cave, located at about 4046 on the map, and it contains the artifact of the Clever. This is a very short cave with a limited number of turns, but if you hug the right hand wall, it's almost the most direct route to the artifact itself. If you do take the time to explore, there are roughly 3 explorer notes in the cave, as well as the possibility of green and blue supply drops. The creatures that you will encounter in this cave include the Ariano, Onyx, Pulmonoscorpus, Titanoboa and Arthroplura. There are a couple of spawn points for Megalossaurus, as well as a pond in the middle which contains Sarco and Piranha. And lastly, there are dung beetles in this cave that you can always tame for your farming. The next cave we're having a look at is the Lower South Cave, located in a rather distinctive looking canyon at around 8554, and it holds the artifact of the Hunter. This cave, its key features as well as its creatures are identical to that of the central cave, however the scope of the cave is a lot larger. However, if you keep to the left, the time at which it will take you to get to the artifact is very similar to the central cave. It's just that you will come off a cliff just before you get to the artifact, which means that you will need to, on the way back, head left, skirt around a body of water, and take you back to the original T intersection. However, if you're on foot, obviously you could use grappling hooks to pull yourself up that cliff and then get yourself back out. This cave is a lot colder than the original cave, so you may want to bring armor that allows you to survive the cold a lot more. Otherwise, you can continue exploring, looking for those rare spawns of the Megalossaurus, the bodies of water which will contain the Sarcos as well as the Piranhas, and a few explorer notes along the way. The last cave we're going to look at is the Southeast Cave, otherwise known as the Lava Cave, located down at 7492, and it contains the artifact of the Massive. As the name suggests, this is a lava cave containing a very hot environment, as you'll need to bring things to help you with the heat. This could be your cloth, you could be wearing some ghillie, or you could bring along some Kalian soup to improve your heat resistance. Now, with this cave containing several jumps over lava, it's recommended that you only bring items and creatures that you're willing to lose and can be replaced easily enough. The direct path to the artifact in this one is to keep to the right, and I would recommend using ranged weaponry to pull groups of creatures to you, rather than launching straight into them, as they are very large clumps that can actually be chained onto each other, and you could easily be swarmed before you know it. However, if you've got a really strong creature that you're confident in using, obviously you can sweep through this in a fairly short manner. Other than that, beyond that we have the jumps. There are 3 consecutive jumps over lava, the last of which is almost like a no return if you're using a creature. Obviously if you're using grappling hooks you can grapple back over quite comfortably, but the alternate path on the way back will take you down into a small ruins area where there's a little explorer note, and from there you can then take another path back up, bypassing that jump altogether. You can obviously take that in the first place, but if you're looking for the fastest route, the jumps are obviously the fastest way to the artifact, while it takes a little bit longer to get yourself back out. Now lastly, if you do take the time to explore to go and find the various explorer notes, you will also find blue and yellow supply crates in this cave. However, you have to weigh up the risk versus the reward of falling to your death in the lava and losing everything versus actually trying to find them, when there are other caves around the island which actually have the same and not better, and you don't have the risk of falling down to your death. One of which, for example, would be the cave on Volcano Island. There is basically a nice little spiral staircase, well, I say staircase, but a spiral down to the bottom, and you can actually find blue, yellow and red drops in that cave, so you actually get a lot better loot with far less risk, other than the fact that you need to take on all the creatures on Kano Island. But I find that far less risky than accidentally falling to your death in lava and losing everything. Now that we've got all the artifacts sorted, we can start discussing the boss fight. Now, to be able to get into the boss fight, you need to be at least level 30 to be able to take on the Gamma. All you will need is the artifacts at that point, and off you go. However, to be able to do the beta fight, you need to be level 50, and the alpha fight, you need to be level 70. You will also need to have a couple of the trophy items from the Argentavis, the Sarco, the Sauropod, and the Titanoboa. For the beta, you're going to need 5 of each, and then for the alpha, you're going to need 10 of each. With your summoning items secured, you will need to take them to an obelisk, specifically the green one if you're on single player, while if you're on a server you'll be able to visit any obelisk or an overland supply drop to be able to summon yourself to the boss arena. Now, Broodmother Lysrix is a spider of giant proportions, who is said to be the mother of all the Ariano on the island. She has 3 main features to her fight, where she will strike out at creatures with the front 4 limbs of her body, spray poisonous globules, and will spawn multiple Ariano from her rear. For the choice of creatures to use in this fight, the recommended creature would be the Megatherium, and when it defeats a creature that contains chitin, it both gains an attack and a defensive buff that makes it the best choice against the spiders. And while any creature at this point could be used if it has the right stats, quite a lot of people will go for Rexes or Therizino armies to take down the bosses. In my case, I am using a Therizino army, as it's pretty much the most versatile boss, and it's the go-to for the dragon fight later on. And this is pretty much due to the sweet veggie cake, which act as a healing item in fights, and it will keep them alive for much longer than their Rex counterparts, who actually rely on eating meats to be able to heal. This way I'm actually able to work on a single army that I will actually take through all the boss arenas. Now, for the Gamma fight, I would recommend that you take at least 10 creatures with a really good Ascendant saddle, otherwise you're going to want to push closer to the full 20, and when you actually take those creatures, you're going to try and level them up till they get around 15,000 health, and you're going to put all the rest into melee, and you're trying to aim for about 700 melee or more. Now, starting from the beta fight, you're pretty much going to want to get that full complement of creatures with really good saddles, and you want to start including buffing type creatures like the Uranus, as this will give you a 20% damage reduction as well as a 25% attack boost. And then for the alpha, you're going to want very specifically bred creatures, most likely mutated to have the best stats possible. And obviously if you're not using the Megatherium, you're probably going to aim for around 30,000 health and 1,000 melee. And given that the nature of the boss's fights tend to not like them being protracted battles, you probably could swap a bit of that health for melee, opting for basically killing faster to reduce the overall damage taken. This is pretty much what you have to do in the dragon fight, as it has a percentage based attack and it's pretty much a race to actually kill the boss. But by using Megatherium, these requirements are quite a lot less, and so because they basically have their own innate buffs for defense and offense when fighting the spiders. Now lastly, it is also possible to kill the Broodmother without using teams. I did actually make a speed build at once where I simply ran the boss around in circles, shooting her down with a decent shotgun. And with this style, it's more about the timing issue, as the boss arena on the servers is only up for around 15 minutes. But you can always go and find that video on my channel where I actually took down the boss. Basically did a whole run where I didn't use teams at all until I took down the Broodmother. Well, that brings us to the end, and hopefully this is enough information for someone to take down the Gamma Broodmother at the very least, and where to find the artifacts and what creatures you might want to take along. I'll finish this up by leaving a full playthrough of one of the Gamma fights that I actually did while recording all of this, and make sure you let me know down in the comments what you think of it all, whether I've missed anything, what maybe you have some tips or tricks that other people might actually see when they come and look at this video and start searching for that little bit of extra information or tips and tricks that might be actually useful for the Broodmother fight. Thanks for you all listening in, and I will catch you in the next one.